Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And good evening, everyone. This is Keep It in the Ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Welcome in for our live Thursday night edition of August 22nd, 2024. Back with you this week. We missed you last week. I was a little under the weather, and I'm much better and I'm ready to go. A lot of news this week. Even though boxing right now, we are in a lull period for a few weeks till we get to the fall schedule. We still got some fights on the calendar. We'll run down the upcoming fall calendar with some big major names and fights starting in September, leading to the end of the year. We'll review some of the action of the last week or so in boxing, especially with Top Rank as the highlight. And, of course, some MMA news and the pro wrestling. And we got AEW all in and a lot of news on that this Sunday night from Wembley in England. And WWE getting ready for Bash in Berlin. We'll get to that. First of all, that calendar of boxing. Some of the fights coming up at the bottom of your screen. My social media handle, as always, folks, get to me. I'll try and get back to you as soon as I can. X, formerly Twitter, Ring786, Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. We're live on my YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. Please like, subscribe, comment. Also on the program tonight. And also, Spring Punk Entertainment, Jabronis United, and we welcome back Carl Roberts and the AG2 Network, carrying us now also on his YouTube channel. Bring Carl in later and go over some of the wrestling talk. And we have a wrestling guest tonight, Robbie Rebel, because AEW Pandemonium is coming up. It's there, October 12th. We'll get to that, run it down with Robbie and talk about that and how his career is going. So this is Keep It in the Ring, your source for combat sports this Thursday night. Let's get to it. And first of all, with the light schedule of boxing, but the fall calendar being put together still, and the major news today, late-breaking news, and it was kind of expected. The lightweight champion, one of the top superstars young in the sport, Shakur Stevenson, who left Top Rank, who's undefeated, has major fights upcoming, because this division at lightweight or at 140 is the hottest topic in the sport. Well, Shakur Stevenson today, and it's official, Eddie Hearn has announced he's got Shakur Stevenson in the Matchroom Boxing stable to be seen on the Zone. That is a great move for Shakur Stevenson. He felt the Top Rank wasn't moving his career properly, and he was a free agent, and it wasn't too long before he decided out of the contract to play the game, play the numbers game, and Eddie Hearn has signed him to a multi-deal contract. So, good fights could be coming for this young man. There have been the good fights in him already, but now even more significant because he's a player and he draws and he makes money. And Eddie Hearn goes for fighters like that with Matchroom, and he's got him now. He's got one of the top superstars in the sport. A major coup for Matchroom and the Zone, securing Shakur Stevenson, who has a fight coming up already. We'll talk about it in a moment, on October 12th in Saudi Arabia, where the Kings and Princes also work with Eddie Hearn and Matchroom and want Shakur from the beginning. They got him. He's going to be on the undercard, and we'll talk about that in a moment. On the undercard of the Dmitry Bivol and Arturo Beterbiev Unification Light Heavyweight title bout, which will be on the Zone pay-per-view and payperview.com, among other outlets. So there you got it. Shakur Stevenson, the suspense is over. Now with Matchroom Boxing and Eddie Hearn, going to make a lot of money, going to see a lot of big fights with this young man. Eddie Hearn likes to put those big fights together, and most of all, he gets it done because he likes to work with the other promoters to give you, the fight fans, the fights they want. And a lot of good fights could be up there for Shakur. Maybe Devin Haney. Of course, everyone wants to see Shakur fight Gervonta Davis, and if Eddie Hearn and the PBC and Al Heyman can get together, and I think they can, this fight will be made sometime next year. And that will be a mega fight for the sport. And let's hope it happens. So let's go move on here. Talk, though, about a fight that may never happen. When I last left off with you 2 weeks ago, we talked about Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford. Now, Canelo and Edgar Berlanga, as you know, have this September 14th unification fight for Canelo's 168-pound titles minus the IBF Alphabet Soup title that was taken from him. But Crawford is coming off a win, champion now at 154. And these two, of course, top discussion all the time is who is pound for pound best. But there are specifics, again, to putting this together because Canelo now does not want to fight for the kings and princes and the Turk and Saudi Arabia. He's kind of disrespected them because they said they disrespected him. Yet, this guy, Terence Crawford, they love him. They want him. So a lot of specifics, a lot of logistics remain to making this type of fight. Canelo wants $250 million. And he said that he wanted even more if he was to fight David Benavidez at 168. We all know where that stands. Nada. It's not happening. But the kings and princes want this guy, Terence Crawford. And if they want Terence Crawford, that means that they still want Canelo Alvarez. And that's a fight that the fans want. That's a fight boxing desperately needs. That's a fight that has to happen. And it could happen. And when you hear all the logistics all the time and all the purse bids and all the money and all this and all that, then it comes down to Saudi Arabia now, the kings and princes having a major control on the boxing industry. They seem to be in command. They are dominating the business. They have the money to do it. And whereas Terence Crawford knows he can get the money there, Canelo Alvarez is not an idiot. He knows he can get the money there as well. And why not draw as these are the top two draws, no doubt, with Gervonta Davis in the sport? Why not give this attention? Why not put this together? You know, when they want to put this fight together, they will. It's a matter, again, of logistics. It's a matter of who, when, you know, the where. It's going to be in Saudi Arabia, or maybe now because the kings and princes are coming off a successful show in Los Angeles a few weeks ago, perhaps, and they say they want to come back here, they'll do it there. My friends, I think, is it a fight like this, with this magnitude, as you look at the tail of the tape, a fight like this has to be made for the sport. And when you put the minds together, Eddie Hearn of Matchroom, the kings and princes of Saudi Arabia, Terence Crawford, Canelo Alvarez, who's on his own, and basically Terence Crawford is also on his own. He's a free agent, does what he wants as well, but works better with the promoters than that guy, Canelo Alvarez, you know, because Canelo still is considered the face of the sport. And as he says, and always will, I do what I want when I want to do it, meaning it's got to be under his terms. So under his terms will mean this fight has to happen. At 154, no. It would have to be probably Canelo comes down or Terence Crawford has to go up to 168, which I don't think he can do because his first fight at 154 a few weeks back, you saw, that wasn't the Terence Crawford we saw at 147. He seemed a little slower in his approach, yet still very powerful. And, of course, Canelo Alvarez is capable of using his knockout ability to end that undefeated number one streak of Terence Crawford. Regardless of what logistics are involved, and regardless of how you look at these two fighters, look at it this way, my friends. This is a fight that needs to be made. Yet, as we talk to you tonight, it's still not made. There's still buzz about it, and that's good, because whenever you have buzz about a fight, especially with these two megastars in the sport, that means that this fight is still a possible reality. And by all means, I do see this fight possibly happening. Again, go back to the logistics. If they can put everything together, what weight class, what titles, how much money is more of a factor here, and where, then we see it. Until then, keep talking about it. Keep talking about this, though, about Shakur Stevenson, again, who is a megastar in the sport and could be a player here, though he stays at 140 and doesn't look at 147 or beyond right now. But he's going to fight the But under the Matchroom deal against Joel Cordina on the undercard of Bivol Berdaviv, which is shaping up to be a major card for the sport on October 12th. On the Zone pay-per-view, pay-per-view.com among the outlets to see that Bivol Berdaviv light heavyweight title unification fight. And then you're going to see Shakur Stevenson. So you got a great fight coming up in the fall on October 12th. So the kings and princes are here. They are here to stay from Saudi Arabia. They want to make the fights for the fans. And this is the fight again. We've center on it. I know, despite all the back and forth and all of this and all of that this fight will happen. Canelo versus Crawford. Despite what Canelo says, I do what I want to do. I am the money man in this sport. I am the face of the sport. But Canelo-Crawford at 168, I don't think that would happen. They'd have to work something out on that in a different way. In the meantime, ESPN and Top Rank continue their deal, and they continue to put on great shows, great programs, great broadcasts for the sport the last 2 weeks. We've seen it. And you know what? If Canelo Alvarez can make money, and again, his last fight with Jaime Munguia gated $17 million. Gated that. He got 80%. 80% of that. The pay-per-view revenue too of $17 million that came in, and $65 million of the pay-per-view gate of the purse total. That's what it came out to. Canelo got a good chunk of that. So if Canelo Alvarez can do that, then Canelo Alvarez and Terence Crawford could do even more. Because Canelo, no matter what you think, is a draw. And so is, as I was saying, Top Rank and ESPN. And you look at this guy over the past week, last Saturday night, Christian Mabili, undefeated, 28-0, 23 knockouts. The 10th round unanimous decision over the champion Sergey Derevyanchenko. Mabili simply overpowered his opponent. Derevyanchenko injured his left arm, and they fought with his right most of the time, but it was an easy path to the win for Mabili, and right away moves up more in the super middleweight rankings where Canelo Alvarez is. The punch stats told the story here. Mabili, 31% of his power punches he landed. And if you don't believe in Christian Mabili now, you better do it. He is a rising contender in the super middleweight division. And this is a young man who has power and popularity in Montreal where this fight took place. ESPN has him with Top Rank, and you're going to see much more about him and more as we end the year. I don't know if it's going to fight by the end of the year again, but definitely next year, I'm hearing 2-3 fights for this young man. 28-0, 23 knockouts with power. He's got a lot of charisma and popular. And that's all you need to know in the sport to become a popular force and to become a champion in the end. And then you got this heavyweight. Viva Italia, as I say, with Guido Virello. He upset Makandorov but his left eye was shut throughout. Makandorov suffered a left eye. It was nasty. The bout was stopped by the ring doctor in round 8. But it should have been stopped sooner. Why? Even with the Derevyanchenko-Mabili fight, that fight should have been stopped early because, you saw again that Derevyanchenko was only fighting with one arm. And in this fight, Virello dominated, and the eye was closed of Makandorov. But the referee just in the ring doctor kept coming up to the stool, if you watch the fight on ESPN, and didn't stop the fight. It should have been stopped. You're risking injury to a fighter. The corner said, let it continue. The ring doctor listened to the corner, and then the referee decided that's enough, and finally it was stopped. But in the meantime, Virello is becoming someone to watch in the heavyweight division with Top Rank real quick. He's got a lot of power to his punches. He's one of those heavyweights. He's tall and he's strong, and he's powerful. He throws a nice jab as well for a heavyweight. Watch out for Guido Virello. Viva Italia, as I say. Maybe he could be the next Jake LaMotta. Maybe the next Rocky Marciano as a heavyweight who retired. as the undefeated heavyweight champion, the only one. Maybe he's next. Top Rank thinks so, and I think he has the potential to do it if he doesn't get hurt. But the week before, you perhaps saw the fight and KO of the year on the same night. Top Rank ESPN shows you Angelo Leo right here, the underdog, with the 10th round KO of Luis Alberto, the quick power. IBF featherweight title now belongs to Angelo Leo. That became the KO of the year. 42% of his punches connected. Angelo Leo, now the champion in the featherweight division. They got to unify that division where there's a lot of talent as well. And then you saw Virgil Ortiz in a 12-round majority decision over Sergey Borakachuk. That might have been the fight of the year last 2 weeks ago. 1,579 punches were thrown in this 12-round fight. Unbelievable. Ortiz, the super welterweight, dethroned Borakachuk as the interim champ in that division. Knockdowns, there were a few, and the comebacks from the few. But now, Virgil Ortiz Jr. is in the mix at 154. And that was a fight, I believe, the fight of the year. What do you think? Give me your comments and thoughts. Ring786 is my handle on X. Facebook.com, Rich Mancuso. And of course, here we're live on YouTube, my channel, Rich Mancuso. Like, comment, subscribe. Also, Stream Punk Entertainment, AGT Network, Gilberti's United. We're all over the place. Facebook, and my Keep It in the Ring page. All right. The WBA has asked for a purse bid. The cruiserweight bout between Gilberto Ramirez, the former champ, against Yunkel Ducaxios, August 27th, in Houston, Texas, would be that fight. And that would be coming up. So I don't know what the latest is on that. Ramirez, of course, the former champ, making those comeback bids all the time. And then we get this. Again, last Sunday in New York at the Javits Center. You know, they had this thing called Fanatics Finesse. And you know what? I don't want to make a big stink about it. But Mike Tyson and Jake Paul did it all over again. Of course, they rescheduled this extravaganza. It'll be on Netflix on November 19th, Netflix pay-per-view. They decided to have another press conference to reinvent the fight at this thing called Fanatics Fest at the Javits Center in New York City. Now, I don't want to be bitter about this because, yeah, everyone knows from my social media posts, I was denied media access, not only to the Tyson Paul stupid presser as it was, because Jake Paul was downgrading New York and calling everybody, F-bombing everybody and calling everybody idiots, and Mike Tyson play fighted. And most of all, this fight's going to be nothing. It's just an extravaganza for both of them to make a lot of money. The key to this show, though, is to see Amanda Serrano and Katie Taylor have their rematch. That you want to see on pay-per-view because their first one in the Garden, first female main event, Madison Square Garden, where Taylor took the title from Serrano, first main event for females at Madison Square Garden. That was a great fight, as everyone knows. You want to see that again, but to see this, that wasn't credentialed for Fan Fanatics, so I wasn't there. And frankly, I don't care because I'm hearing that it was a bomb among the many fans I talked to. They said they couldn't get the autographs that they promised, that big prices they paid to be there for 2-3 days, that a lot of celebrities and star athletes from all over the sports globe world, some of them bailed out on them. And I'm hearing that a lot of fans were very disenchanted, not happy about how they were treated and that they didn't get their money's worth. And I didn't get a credential, and a lot of media guys didn't get credentials, legitimate media people, because it's become like we're doing now, a YouTube show and all people that have blogs and everything. So they got to get their act together. They're doing this again next year. Here they're doing it in Los Angeles in 6 months, and then back in New York again next late summer again. But you know what? With all the bad publicity and all the bombs that they received because of no shows and because of disorganization and people paying a lot of money and not getting their buck's worth, I don't see why they could be successful again back in New York. And to tell you the truth, as a bitter member of the media who got denied, I really don't care. Look, they didn't have to credential me. I get credentialed to any event I want. I can talk to any athlete I want when I'm credentialed. I didn't need to go to FanFest anyway. But to see Tyson and Jake Paul once again putting on their third or fourth press conference, they originally had a big media tour when they announced this a few months ago, to do it again because Tyson got injured or medically wasn't well, and now he's back. I wonder if if they are going to fight this time. Tyson needs to be healthy. He has to prove that. And Jake Paul doesn't need a fight like this if he wants to be a legitimate champion in the sport. He says he's the best. And I tell you time and time again, week after week, every time Jake Paul says that, I shake my head because he's not the best and he won't be until he fights legitimate opponents. Mike Tyson is not the answer for the successful and career for Jake Paul to get propelled to where he wants to be. So they rescheduled it. 50-year-old Mike Tyson against this guy, Jake Paul, the social media phenom, who, in my opinion, is pretending right now to be the best in the world in the sport. And there's a lot of great fighters out there who take exception to that. And Jake Paul might eventually learn his lesson to keep your mouth shut. Again, he might be good for the sport in some ways because he gives exposure to the sport, but he doesn't do it the right way. And when he uses F-bombs all over the place, that doesn't help as well. You want to make the sport, you want to give it a better image, project it better. And Jake Paul, to me, doesn't do that every time he opens up his mouth. Neither does this guy. Well, first of all, Ryan Garcia is a topic on me all the time, every week. But what happened here was that Devin Haney got into some type of brawl with his entourage at a carnival somewhere in the LA area. And Ryan Garcia got hold of that. And that was a mess. But Ryan Garcia then decides to tweet about it and ranted and raved again about Devin Haney. Scott, put up those tweets again so I could see that a little better. What does he say there? What is he saying? All I know is that he's commenting and not saying anything positive about it. And that, again, he's referring all week that Henny should be suspended, not him, as Ryan Garcia continues to try and keep himself active. Hey, there he goes. Another of your crew jumps him while you walk away. It's all pretty ditty to me. This is Ryan Garcia. This is what he does, how he spends his time. Day after day, 24/7. And then he says, I wonder what the commission would do, New York Commission, if I fought someone and it was caught on camera. Meaning if he fought someone off out of the ring during his suspension and was caught on camera just like Devin Haney was, what would the New York Commission or any commission do to him? Probably nothing. That has nothing to do with them. That's law enforcement there. And Devin Haney wasn't right here. Devin Haney's trying to get back in the ring and be noticed again. While Ryan Garcia continues to rant and rave on social media about that and about a lot of other things that have nothing to do with the sport of boxing and his career. But that's Ryan Garcia, constantly looking for attention. And if you go on his social media feeds on Instagram and Twitter, on X, every day, 24/7, it's something. Is he in Mexico? Is he in Los Angeles? Where is he? One place where he needs to be and he hasn't been is rehab. And I don't think he's ever going to become what he wants to become, legitimate, and develop a legacy for himself until he gets his head straightened out. And he's going to need to do that by going into rehab. And he continues to not do that by showing what he is based on his tweets and what he says on Instagram as well, where he has millions of followers. Go figure it out. Till next week, to be continued. Now, the fall fight calendar is coming into focus. Now, boxing now takes like a little hiatus as we get the summer over with and we get into the fall. One fight that hasn't been officially announced yet, but discussed and will happen, is Earl Spence Jr. getting back in the ring at 154 against the champion, Sebastian Fundora. Okay. So that's going to be announced soon, and that'll be Earl Spence's return to the ring. Hasn't been officially announced yet, but it's under heavy discussion. Look out for it. September 3rd, Inoue from Japan, junior featherweight title. He has to fight more in the United States. Considered by many also to be in that top pound-per-pound discussion, maybe number 1, 2, 3, or 4, near Gervonta Davis and Canelo and Bud Crawford. And then we got the big one coming up September 14th, because it's Canelo Alvarez and Edgar Berlanger. And the undercard on this show, that to be on Amazon Prime pay-per-view. It is stacked, including the return of Danny Garcia, who had his meeting in Philadelphia. And he's going to return, I guess, going to fight Sarah Launder for the 154-pound titles that Lara holds. And Wally Ramiro, the former champion at 140, returns to the ring. And there were many more great fights on that pay-per-view. So it's shaping up to be a good one in September 14th. T-Mobile Arena in Las Vegas, where Canelo Alvarez likes to fight on pay-per-view, Amazon Prime, and we'll keep you updated as we get into that. September 14th is just like 3 weeks away or so. And then you got Benavides and Baval, October 12th, Saudi Arabia, rescheduled, and that finally will be happening before you know it. The undercard, including now, as you know, Shakur Stevenson, of course, Baval and Benavides, will try and unify those light heavyweight titles that should have happened months ago, but Benavides suffered an injury in camp. And on that card is Chris Eubank Jr. also, and you know his story, middleweight, super middleweight, always in the picture for a title shot. And the cruiserweight title program plus 4 other fights. And then we get into Xander Zayas coming back to New York City at Madison Square Garden. The guy in back of me every week, as you see, at 154, making his move more and more, undefeated from Puerto Rico and Miami. Madison Square Garden, ESPN, Top Rank, September 27th. 4 other fights on that card as well on Top Rank. And more. We'll update you more as we go along. And the big one, to unify the heavyweight title again, Alexander Usyk will try and unify the heavyweight, keep the unification behind him, with him rather, for the heavyweight titles against Tyson Fury. That's coming up at the end of December. And that's also going to be, I believe it's in Saudi Arabia, also before the Kings and Princes, where they staged the first fight where Usyk took the titles from Fury. So a lot of boxing and more to be announced in the weeks to come to fill up the fall calendar, which goes to show you that the sport is not dead. The sport there are fights every week. Got to look on the calendar. Some of them are not even televised on the various streaming networks that dominate the sport. But the sport indeed is healthy, despite what you might hear. It's not dead, that's for sure. A lot of money's out there. A lot of money's being made. Fighters are getting paid, despite what Henny says that Oscar De La Hoya still has not paid him for the Ryan Garcia Devin Haney fight. And Garcia, Oscar De La Hoya has denied all of that. You don't know who to believe on there. I don't think Oscar De La Hoya would go that far and not pay these guys. But there is a lot of money out there in the sport. There's a lot of exposure with the streaming networks. Despite boxing no longer being a mainstream sport, you and I know, as enthusiasts of the sport, that the sport is thriving and it is healthy. Yes, filled with controversy, as I always say, but still viable and a major sport for us. So those who don't like boxing will never get into it. And then, and when they become fans, they become fans when it's a big fight. And they know nothing about the big fight, the names or what's going. I mean, because of the sports, because of all the betting, they get involved. But for us, the boxing enthusiasts, as we go into the fall season and then the winter to end the year, boxing is strong, it's healthy, and it's here to stay. All right, moving on to UFC, a lot of that. How about Dricus defended the UFC middleweight title, defeating Adesanya in the 4th round by submission, 328 this week. Nip and tuck fight, though, all along for 3 rounds, and a good one it was. UFC 307, October 5th, the light heavyweight champ, Alex Pereira, one of my favorites, third title defense. He's going to get Kefali Roundtree Jr., and that will be for the in Salt Lake City, Utah. And Pereira, of course, KO'd his two previous champions this year. And he's looking to become a heavyweight champ at a UFC, and he's making MMA history. And it's very possible that it can happen because Alex Pereira is capable of doing that. And expected that John Jones at UFC 309, a heavyweight champ at Madison Square Garden in November, that will be announced soon by Dana White. And now we talk about Conor McGregor, who's the equivalent to me of Ryan Garcia in the MMA and UFC. Now, Conor McGregor is supposed to headline UFC 310 in Las Vegas, but does he fight Michael Chandler? According to Dana White, he says no. And that's because Conor McGregor may not be ready or has his issues or problems again. But they say UFC 310 in Vegas, it's supposed to be Conor McGregor and Michael Chandler, that a fight that everyone wants to see in the MMA. However, Dana White, he calls the shots. He says, no, it's not happening. And that McGregor will fight sometime next year. So we'll keep you updated and see what happens with that. All right. First half hour over. Keep it in the ring with the boxing, little UFC. What are your thoughts? Comment, like, subscribe to my channel on YouTube, Rich Mancuso, at Stream Punk Entertainment. Also, Jabronis United, and again now with the AGT Network and Facebook. Keep it in the ring where we're seen live as well. This is Keep It in the Ring with Rich Mancuso. We're going to take our first time out, our brief break, and then come back. Pro wrestling. We'll talk about AEW All In coming up Sunday night from Wembley in the UK. We'll talk about WWE and that continued love the triangle with the there's a lot going on in WWE. I don't care what AEW All In does on Sunday. WWE still got the premier wrestling show product in the business, as we know. We'll talk about that, and we have a special guest. Robbie Rebel will be joining us on the program. Stay with us. I'll also have the fact of the week and nostalgia later. A lot more to come. Let's keep it in the ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Back in a moment. Stay with us.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
And welcome back. It's Keep It in the Ring. And thank you, Scene Hainer, I believe. We got your name right. Hey, guys. Hey to you, too. Thanks for tuning in. And to all of you, Keep It in the Ring tonight. I'm Rich Mancuso. Live on my YouTube channel. Like, comment, and subscribe on Jabronis United, Stream Punk Entertainment, and the AGT Network now. Good to be with us, all the networks combined. And let's bring in my guest. It was pro wrestling time right now as we keep it in the ring. And let's bring in Robbie Rebel. That's Pandemonium coming up October 12th at the Viper Center there in South Jersey. ACW and Jason Knight returning with a lot of rematches, and of course, ECW stars, and this guy, who I've had on the program before, Robbie Rebel. Hey, Robbie, Keep It in the Ring. Welcome. Thanks for joining me again.
Thank you for having me, Rich. I really appreciate it.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. And, I'm bringing you on to not only update us about your career, and it's been busy. You've been wrestling every weekend. And then you're a part of this big Jason Knight ACW card again coming up October 12th at the Viper Center. Are you excited about it?
I'm more excited about anything that happens in October, not only because my birthday's in October, but obviously I'm a Halloween baby. I love Halloween. and I love dressing up. I know that we're going to be having, some costume contest or something like that. And I'm also ready for whatever is going to be coming, next for me.
Yeah, but do you know who you got on that show as of yet?
Who I have personally?
Yeah, who's your opponent? Do you have that matched up yet? For you on October 12th?
I haven't had any update. I'm waiting for the ACW page to actually put out an update. I know there's been a couple matches released, but mine hasn't been just yet.
Well, this is coming during Halloween season, and Jason Knight and Desiree, ACW, they put this all together. We'll be a part of it, streaming it live as well. Pandemonium, it's called. So you're going to get a lot of rematches. You're going to get a lot of what followed in their first show a couple of months back down there at the Piper Center. And you were part of it. Do you know if you're going to be a part of Pandemonium itself, a rematch or anything like that?
As far as I'm concerned, there might be something special going on. I just don't know if I could actually say anything about that. I don't know if it's 100%. But as far as I'm concerned, there's something really big in the books for Robbie Rebel.
Yeah, and he did something big last time as well. Scott Churston, my great producer behind the scenes here, roll some of that footage we have of Robbie Rebel last time. But as ACW returned to action, there you go. Robbie, take a look at this. We'll roll some of the footage and look back. This was a few months ago. Scott, can you roll it, or do we just have images? Here we go. And here's Robbie Rebel in action. And he comes out with a great ring outfit as well. But, take a look at what he does. What went on there?
Turns out the guy that I was versing, his name is Gimmick, wanted to pretend that he was Balls Mahoney all night. And let's face facts, no one is going to take the place of Balls Mahoney. As far even when I was out starting wrestling around like 16, 17 years old, I've known John for a long, long time. And somehow he got his son to come out and hit me with a damn chair. Can I say that? I'm sorry.
Sure you can. You can say whatever you want. We're on YouTube. You could curse, rant, rave, whatever you want to do.
Yeah, so it turns out he seemed like he was a little bit of a sore loser because I beat his ass so much. And next thing I know, I'm getting a chair swung at by Balls Mahoney's son. I'm the only one that kid has ever gotten in the ring to do something before. So why I'm so special to that, I have no idea. He hit me right across the face, knocked my teeth out. And then I had to just roll myself out of the ring with my manager Damien, who does a lot of stuff during Halloween season as well. So
you're not too happy about that. So are you looking for revenge on October 12th?
With Gimmick, I already beat him. So what's the point of getting revenge? And in all honesty, I know that Balls Mahoney's son, Chris, he's now doing bigger and better things in college. I wish him well, and I hope he doesn't get smacked in the head with a chair one day.
Yeah, I was speaking of Balls Mahoney's son. Of course, his father was legendary in ECW with Paul Heyman. And you got a lot. You have that Mickey Whipwreck and Tommy Cairo among some of the old ECW stars coming back for Pandemonium. And you watched them a lot growing up in the business that you wanted to do. How's it working with those guys? How did you feel working with them and working with them again?
Well, it's not my first rodeo. I've been around them. Eventually, when you start getting into different places, different things, and you're around people who have been there, done that, the starstruck feeling tends to fade away, and you kind of look up to them as teachers. So, I mean, I got to work at something called Excite. It was a promotion called Excite, and Mikey Whipwreck was doing like stuff right beforehand, and we all anytime I get the chance to, I always want to learn more from the people who have been on TV, you know. And I got to have a match right in front of him, and he gave me pros, cons, and everything like that. But every time I work with something like that, it's more like you respect them as a teacher, not really look up and be like, oh my God, I can't believe I did that. I mean, don't get me wrong. You have a couple drinks later on afterwards that,
of course, so do I.
You're like, yeah. And you're like, oh, I can't believe that I did this with this person. Oh my God.
Right.
And it usually hits you when you least expect it. But when you're used to it, it's business. We're all in this to make money, to make a name for ourselves, and to leave a legacy. So
right. And your legacy right now, how old are you again?
33.
Yeah, so, you're at that age in the business now where you're getting started, really. A lot of guys don't get really in front of the camera and in the ring among people till, they're late 20s, early 30s. You're there, and you got a lot of time to go. And from what I'm hearing from Jason Knight, he loves having you on his ACW shows. He feels that you have that charisma, which pro wrestler has to have, and that you've learned pretty fast, pretty quick how to get involved and know what you got to do. Do you like the role you're in right now?
I do. I'm just kind of running with whatever comes at me. There's really old match between Jason and I. That's how I met Jason. I met Jason that night. That was awesome.
Yeah, well, tell us about Jason Knight, because I've known him for years, and I think I've asked you this before on camera and off. What do you think of him? He is a legend to many.
He is definitely a legend. I never expected to be taken in by someone like him, to be honest. I know what he's done, especially the first ECW television champion. I've seen matches with him and someone that also trained me, Mr. Hughes. I've seen him in matches not only in ECW but in WCW, WWE, and I never thought that someone like him would make me feel so at home, because it's very hard to have people that have done that not only earn the respect from them, but also it's like a surreal feeling, because it feels like you finally found a family. You finally found someone that you could vibe with, besides the people that you grew up wrestling with, because a lot of times they end up being backstabbers, they end up being ex-friends, and they end up being people who just blatantly put a bad taste in everyone else's.
Well, that's the type of business it is. It could be a gut-wrenching business, and it could really stab you in the end. Look, on my side, I could tell you that over the years, all of a sudden you got this and then you don't have it no more. Just the way it is in the business it is. But you're still getting there, and Pandemonium is a way to get there even better. And you showed it in the last show, and you're going to show it again. Robbie Rebel here, who's a independent wrestling star right now and a major part of ACW's Pandemonium, the rematches and so forth. October 12th, Piper Center. They're in Wrightstown, New Jersey. Is it Wrightstown? Where is it? Wrightstown? Williamstown. I get the towns confused. Right there in South Jersey, way down there.
Yeah, near Philly.
Where else have you been wrestling in between? Fill us in about that. Update us.
Well, I just had a match at a place called CCW. We just did that out in Queens, Elmhurst, I believe. September 20th, I'll be doing Port Jeff in Long Island, New York.
So you're doing local stuff in the area.
Oh, absolutely.
You're based out in Nassau County, Long Island, right?
Yeah, I live in Nassau.
Yeah. Right. And those shows just keep you busy, and it seems like you're very, very active. It seems like it's almost like once a week where you're getting some action.
I have been. The past 2 weeks I had car trouble, so it was hard for me to do things. But yeah, I definitely have been keeping very busy. This is the most I've actually been booked in my entire life this whole year, and it really revitalized everything that I wanted to do with wrestling.
And you're enjoying it as well, I could tell.
Yeah, I definitely am.
Okay, so give us your schedule now, the next few weeks or so. Where can fans find you in the ring?
Okay, well, I do have the one in Port Jeff coming up in October, the Pfeiffer Center. I got a little bit of a break in between September's a rough time for me right now. I didn't take any bookings in September just because I have a bunch of things I gotta take care of. And then November, I should be going to Virginia. I have a Virginia show. I don't have anything detailed on that until it gets released. I can't really talk about it.
Like any athlete, you need a little break for your body to heal. And as a pro wrestler, you get bumped and bruised all the time.
Oh,
so
yeah,
it's understandable if you get a gap in the schedule. And it doesn't mean that you're not inactive. You're relevant. They know you're out there.
Mm-hmm. I think I'll be able to get something in September. I'm trying to aim for the 13th for Excite. But
if not, you keep yourself in shape. You train every day. You keep a good diet and nutrition. Oh, yeah, I know. I've seen it, Robbie, and I never want to go in the ring with you. That's why I say keep it in the ring, but not with me, okay? Robbie, what is your finishing move again? What do fans have to know about Robbie Rebel that we don't know?
Okay, so what they have to know about Robbie Rebel is that he's a lovable misfit, but you always got to keep in mind that he's a misfit. So technically, sometimes I'm not going to do everything what we would call babyface.
Okay.
But I'll always be able to do it within putting a smile on your face. My finishing move,
and I'm sure, finishing move what?
My finishing move is called the Shocker Dropper. I'm really big into shock rock.
Would you let me accompany you in the ring at some point? I'd love to do that.
Why don't we do it September 20th?
September 20th is.
If you can.
If I'm in town, I'm going to take you up on that offer because I've done it before. On the one condition that you don't do anything to me in the ring or no one else, because it's happened to me before. King Kong Bundy slammed me once, and I'm still feeling it. The Iron Sheik once put me in his camel clutch, and I'm still feeling it. And these are true stories. So I don't want that happening again, but I would love to do it if I'm free that night.
Well, I'm defending my belt on the 20th, and I would really like
to. All right, so I could come in and accompany. I could come in and accompany you in the ring.
Absolutely.
And where's that going to be?
Port Jefferson, New York.
All right, we'll figure it out. Scott, my producer, Scott Churston, make a note of that, please, because I might want to do that. I would love to do it. Robbie, where do fans catch you on social media to keep up with you?
Well, you could follow me on Instagram at Robbie Rebel, and you could also follow me on Facebook at Robbie Rebel. I don't do an X.
No, well, I do because I have to, but I still call it Twitter as well. Robbie, I don't let you go like I don't let any guest go without doing the fact of the week. You've done this with me before, and I'm going to put one to your test right now, and it's not that difficult. There was 19 years ago today, fact of the week, a You're Fired match in pro wrestling, okay? And it was his last appearance. It's not trivia, it's a fact. Last appearance for a WWE superstar at that time. 19 years ago today, all right? August 22nd, 2005. You're Fired match. And this guy lost. And it was his last WWE appearance. You know who it was?
It wasn't Mick Foley, was it?
No, but you're not far out of that category though.
Because I know he was done around that time, right?
Last WWE appearance. It was a You're Fired match. He lost.
No,
he lost against a Hall of Famer too.
I'm drawing a blank.
Well, I would too, except that my producer Scott Churston and even Carl Roberts came up with this for me because it was the last minute. I didn't have one available for you, but we got a good one. It was John Cena defeating Chris Jericho. I don't know how old you were at the time, but I remember the match. And it was it was You're Fired match. That's what Vince McMahon loved to do. And that was 22 years ago today.
Jericho's been out of WWE that long now?
Yeah, I didn't realize that as well. No, I think he that was he came back.
Yeah, he definitely had to come back. I was just like, wow,
he came back.
Yeah, he came
that was a match where he took the time to his contract, or he had to take the time off, so they made that into a You're Fired match. My question to you: will you ever get fired in the ring?
No.
Hope not. You have a great future ahead, Robbie Rebel. We'll have you on again, and I'm going to take up your offer September 20th, see if I can accompany you in the ring,
I would
and
love to have
definitely
you.
see you October 12th, 5% of New Jersey, and that's ACW Pandemonium. You've been seeing it on the program every week. We're getting ready for it. And that guy, my friends, Robbie Rebel, part of the action that night. We'll fill you in on ticket information. Stay in touch with Robbie Rebel as well on social media. Thank you, my friend. Keep it in the ring.
Thank you so much for having me, Rich.
I'll be in touch with you.
Sounds good.
Okay, Robbie Rebel. And that was great. And we wish him continued success. And I look forward to working with him in the next few months. All right. We'll continue keeping it in the ring before going on our last break. And let me bring, let's talk pro wrestling before I bring in Carl Roberts and go over AEW All In. First of all, WWE is headed for Clash in Berlin, another one of their international spectacle PLE events. They want to do more of those. They will. They say they're going to go to Italy maybe next year. There are rumors that the Hardy Boys are going to return to WWE. That's their call, WWE Hall of Fame, where they belong. There's Dominic Mysterio still, and Ripley, and Damian Priest, and that triangle, and that's all going to come up in that mixed tag match at Clash in Berlin. And the Bloodline feud continues to be the evolving story for WWE. Where and who it will be. When does Roman Reigns form his own group, and who will it be? He hasn't spoke on the microphone yet, but he's been very, very active. He's not going to be on the next few SmackDowns from what we've been hearing. However, there are a lot of talk. There's a lot of talk and rumors that Roman Reigns' new Bloodline group will include Zilla Fatu, Jimmy Uso, maybe even Jay, or maybe even Cody Rhodes, which would be very, very interesting. And rest in peace. We lost another wrestling superstar this past week. Didn't know how bad he was, but his brother Seeker passed away just a week or two before. And we go to Alpha, the Wild Samoan. Let's put his image up. The Wild Samoans, tag team champion records in WWF, WWE at the time. There he is. Passed away. He was ailing. It was in bad health. Of course, all part of the Anoa family, and Seeker, and Alpha and Seeker in my time were the tag team to beat in pro wrestling. When we lost Seeker just about 3 weeks ago, and no sooner later we hear that Alpha passes away. Rest in peace, my friend. I worked with him a few times as well, and the Wild Samoans, definitely one of the top tag teams in pro wrestling of all time. Of course, we lost Kevin Sullivan as well last week. And the ringmaster, he was another one. So the wrestling superstars are the past. The great ones have been passing on, and that's sad for the business because they made the wrestling industry what it was. All right, now the attention goes to AEW All In. Could have supposedly be 70, 80,000 people at Wembley on Sunday night on pay-per-view. Tony Khan says that. And they are, in the Merry of England, in the UK. All In, second year in a row. It's going to be played at Wembley. And yet next year, Tony Khan has said they've made a deal. They're moving it July 12th. And it's going to be in Globe Life Field in Texas, where the Cowboys play next year. And then they're going to go back to England again. Remains to be seen. But for next year, AEW All In goes to Texas. And the first time that they are having an outdoor an event like that for pro wrestling down there at Globe Life in Dallas. All right. Let me bring in Carl Edwards with the AGT Network, who's a part of our program now. And Carl, come on in and let's briefly run down AEW All In Sunday night on pay-per-view for Tony Khan. This is a big show, and it's stacked. There's some great matches here on pay-per-view. And Carl, how are you, my friend? Good to see you again. Welcome back.
Thank you. It's good to be back. It's good to see you.
You haven't changed.
Stone again.
You haven't changed. You look the same.
Just a little.
But Carl's going to handle some of the producing duties as well on both networks, and from time to time, because I work Scott Churston too much, and so he's going to need to bring. And Carl knows how to do this as well, so we're bringing him into the fold once again, and I'm glad we're doing that. Carl, let's with your wrestling expertise, take a look briefly. AEW All In. There's that casino gauntlet match and Orange Cassidy. How do you like that, real quick?
That's an interesting one for me. To be honest with you, with Orange Cassidy, he's been really coming along very well. So that's going to be to see how he does against this one.
Yeah, I like Cassidy. They've been building him up bigger and bigger, and he's still in the title mix over there. Tony Khan loves him, and Cassidy's committed to AEW. All right, 80,000, they say. I don't know. We'll see. 75, 80. There's the card as we run it down at Wembley in the UK. Chris Jericho and Hawk for that FTW title. They've been feuding. Does Hawk get the title back from Jericho, the teacher?
I think he does. And
that'll make his father Tazwell. I think we've seen the match much too much on AEW programming. Can it culminate into something bigger at All In?
I think it will. And I think you might actually see where Hook earns the respect of Jericho and they work together as a tag team going forward.
Okay. So you think Hawk will get the title back, and Jericho at 53 years of old is nowhere from retirement, so he says. Okay. The ladder match with the Christian, the Patriarch, and the House of Black, of course, Christian's going to have all his backup with him. And, you know, I'm getting a little tired of the Patriarch and the House of Black, though. I think they're looking at the upset. How do you think?
I believe they are too, but you still got to remember, come Saturday is Collision over in England, and that'll be
Which was already taped, and we know the spoilers already about that.
True.
It was already taped, and that's killing them. When they do these when they tape their shows, no one watches AEW, Collision or Rampage on Friday night. We already know what happened. It kills them when they do that, which is bad for a lead into their big pay-per-view event. Yeah. So, no, I like the House of Black in this one as well.
Yes, I do too.
I think there's going to be a breakup of the Patriarch and his family. I think it's eventually going to end and break up. All right. The Young Bucks and FTR and the Acclaimed, and that's for the triple titles. What do they call that?
The trios titles?
Yeah.
If I'm not mistaken, I thought the trios was the one with the House of Black. But the other one,
I might be confused because sometimes they make their matches with all their titles too confusing for the avid wrestling fan. Regardless, I like that the fact the Acclaimed are in this, and I think they're title hungry again, and Tony Khan will grant them their wish. All right, I'm looking forward to this coffin match.
I'm glad that they're hooked up with the FTR.
Yeah. And I'm looking forward to this coffin match with Jack Perry and Darby Allin. I think, their feud has been nothing but chaotic, bloody, a mess, all types of things. And I think Perry goes in the coffin. What do you think?
I think he goes in the coffin, and we finally get to see Darby have the title run he deserves.
Right, I agree. It's that time. Now, return of Mercedes on pay-per-view. And Dr. Britt Baker, her return for the TBS Championship. And I know that Mercedes is not going to lose the title. She's the highest paid female star in AEW, and they say in wrestling, in pro wrestling in the industry. And Baker is just coming back. So Mercedes now losing the title.
I'll be honest with you. I would actually like to see her drop the title because she needs a little bit more work in ring than
She
what
does. I agree, but I don't think she's dropping the title though. Not at Wembley, and not because she's her first big match since her return. And Britt Baker's had the title, and look, it's unpredictable. We don't know. That's just our opinion. This match, though, for the American title that MJF put together himself, the hottest heel in the industry, against Will Ospreay, and this is going to be Ospreay. It's in his area. It's in his background, his roots, where he is.
Correct.
Does he get this title from MJF?
I would say yes. I would actually like to see Will Ospreay win it.
Yeah, I think so. But it could go either way because MJF's their hottest heel, or there'll be a no decision, disqualification, whatever. But their first time on TBS on Dynamite was a barn burner. Will we get the same type of match at All In? That's what we have to look at. Will we get that same type of match? Will. And I look forward to the final two matches that's so far on the card that we have. Toni Storm and Mariah May. Of course, Mariah May wants that title. And there's been a lot of blood with these two. And there's been a lot of revenge out of Toni Storm. Toni Storm wants Mariah May, her former protege. What do you think?
I think it's going to be Mariah May winning. But
with the shoe? Will she use the shoe again?
But here's the thing. She's not going to win it clean. It's going to be a disqualification because Toni Storm is somehow going to get herself disqualified.
And they might want to keep this feud going. Okay.
Yes.
And finally, a match that has a lot of anticipation. Thinking that might be Bryan Danielson's last match in his wrestling career. Or does he get the title? Or does Swerve, there's a recent champion who's fantastic as the AEW champion, does he retain against Bryan Danielson? Or is this Danielson's last match?
I believe this is Danielson's last match.
Okay, I do too. He's got neck problem again. He wants to be home with his family, but he could still stay involved with AEW. Right. I believe Swerve retains Danielson's last match. He won't have a farewell tour, but it's going to happen. Hey, Carl, thank you. Great rundown. Enjoy AEW All In. And again, welcome back, my friend. Good to have you back. I keep it in the ring.
Definitely.
Like, comment, and subscribe to your AGT network. I'll talk to you again next week. As the pro wrestling segment, we get ready for a busy weekend with AEW All In, and then next weekend, to end the summer with WWE Bash in Berlin. All right, back in a moment. We'll wrap it up. I've got a little nostalgia to show once again, and another type of I want to talk about and show you. This is Keep It in the Ring with Rich Mancuso. Thank you, Carl, for your comments there about Danielson's last match in AEW. Thank you for all. Like, comment, subscribe. My YouTube channel, Rich Mancuso. To Stream Punk Entertainment, Jabrody's United, my Facebook channel, and so forth. To Keep It in the Ring. That's who we are. That's where we are with you every week here. Stay with us. Back in a moment. We'll wrap it all up.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go.
There was Pandemonium, as we talked about moments ago with Robbie Rebel, October 12th. And that's in Wrightstown, New Jersey. Ace W, Jason Wright at the Piper Center. More to come on that the weeks to come. In the meantime, let's wrap this up with some nostalgia. But first, let's take a look at some nostalgia with me and a WWE Hall of Famer who I was close to many years ago, worked with him. Scott put that photo up of me and the great Sergeant Slaughter. I'm going through my files. I come through this. There's a young Rich Mancuso. There's Sergeant Slaughter, Bob Remus, who many say looks like me, that we were brothers. In fact, the kids at this event that once was helping kids out at my alma mater, DeWitt Clinton High School in the Bronx, many years back, when I had hair on my head, it was a little slimmer. Sergeant Slaughter and I were working together. I asked him to do me a favor, show up and meet the kids at an auditorium thing, and they had a program with him, and there were a couple of other sports stars that I put together for the kids at the time, and the kids all thought that Sergeant Slaughter was my brother. Looking back, I keep in touch with Sergeant Slaughter, whether it be the memorabilia show somewhere or just when I run into him. One of the great superstar Hall of Famers out of the WWF at the time, WWE, still a part and an ambassador of WWE. And again, Sarge, thank you. I salute you. Now, our nostalgia clip of the week or our photo of the week. I love doing this every week. I know you like it. We go back to August 22nd, 1939. Lou Amber is here, defeated Henry Armstrong in the 15th round, regaining the light heavyweight title. Remember, back then, boxing had fights that went 15-round championship fights, and perhaps they should do that again. I keep telling you that. 29,088 fans at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. That was the Mecca of boxing before Madison Square Garden. Their rematch of their 1938 Fight of the Year. Armstrong won this by split decision. Controversial, though, no knockdowns in the fight. The referee, Arthur Donovan, penalized Armstrong for 5 rounds for fouls. Yes, there was more scrutiny with the referee in the ring at the time, who also was a judge at ringside at the time, instead of the 3 blind mice we have at ringside now. He gave Ambers an 8-7 edge on 2 cards, the referee. The third, 11-3. The first loss for Armstrong in 47 fights. This, a great fight in boxing history. August 22nd, 1939 at Yankee Stadium in the Bronx, New York, as Lou Ambers defeated Henry Armstrong by the 15-round unanimous decision. More nostalgia next week here on the program, Keep It in the Ring. And a quick hour or more here this week. Thanks again to Robbie Rebel. Pandemonium coming up. ACW Jason Knight, October 12th. Great segment with him. Thank you, Carl Roberts, for coming back on the fold to the program, and my great producer, Scott Churston, who puts this together for me each and every week and puts up with me as well. Keep It in the Ring comes to you live just about every Thursday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, and then you can see it on the replay if you missed the live segment. Rich Mancuso, my YouTube channel. Of course, like, comment, and subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification button. Also on String Punk Entertainment, Jamonis United, and again now, the AGT Network, and join my Keep It in the Ring page on Facebook as well. Just hit that, like it, and become a member of Keep It in the Ring. So, a lot went on this week. The fall boxing calendar is coming up, and we'll get ready for that. Oh, by the way, if you want your mix of boxing and taste of it, this weekend on The Zone, John Gotti 3 and Floyd Mayweather Jr. 3rd. Floyd Mayweather Jr., John Gotti 3, whatever. The rematch, who cares? Mayweather still wants to fight, still wants to make money. Gotti also says that he's devoted to Mayweather for giving him another opportunity. And it said yesterday at that press conference that Mayweather made him a more wealthy man. And Mayweather did a lot of that for a lot of fighters throughout his illustrious, undefeated Hall of Fame career. So till next week, my friends, I want you to remember, as always, stay healthy, be good to each other, and God bless. And as I always say, keep it in the ring. I'm Rich Mancuso. Thank you. See you next week.
Even when you feel low, you can still go. Even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never ran